Greetings. My name is Dr. Thomas Duvall. Mr. Jim Barfield and I are co-chairs of the History Group for the Macon Bicentennial Celebration Committee. I want to take this opportunity to thank Mayor Lester Miller for putting together this county-wide Macon Bicentennial celebration. The mission of the Bicentennial Committee is to strengthen civic pride by educating the community about our history, celebrating our accomplishments, acknowledging our past, and promoting a harmonious future. I want to thank Dr. Joshua Murphy, the administrator, for the daily operations of the Macon Bicentennial celebration. I also want to thank Wesleyan's president, Megan Blight, for having us present here at Wesleyan. I must also especially thank the Dean for Equity and Inclusion, Ms. Tanya Parker, for scheduling this presentation and all 12 history presentations here at the Taylor Hall Amphitheater. This 12-theme visual history series could never have occurred without the generous support of the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation. I want to especially thank my two colleagues and personal friends who have worked so steadfastly behind the scene for helping develop narratives, coordinating, and scheduling panelists. They are Mr. Don Druitt and Mr. Newton Collier. Don Druitt conceived the 12-theme concept and used his artistic stage management and PowerPoint skills to produce the visual history theme series. Newton Collier used his musician timing skills to coordinate the voice and visual studio synchronization. I must recognize all the volunteer panelists who unselfishly donated their time and energy to research and practice delivering their themes. And finally, none of this work could come to fruition without the creative filming and editing skills of Mr. Marquez Cornelius at the Mercer WMUB TV studio. I sincerely believe that through this community effort, we have fulfilled our ancestral obligation to archive and pass on our awesome, factual Macon-Bibb County history to future generations. Thank you all for being here to celebrate our bicentennial, Macon, the heart of Georgia.
Hello everyone, my name is Stephen Duvall, and I am the moderator for this Macon-Bibb County Bicentennial Lecture called History of Macon-Bibb County Sports. I have with me our 5-person panel who will share with you their research on today's topic, and they are Mr. Gary McPhail, Mr. Marion McMillan, Mr. Robert Slocum, Dr. Mildred Howard, and Mr. Michael Lau. Now that you have met them, let's get started with their presentations.
Hello, I'm Gary McPhail. Jim Parker. Jim Parker began his football career at Ballard-Hudson High School in Macon, Georgia. During his sophomore season, his family moved to Ohio. After receiving a football scholarship to attend Ohio State University, Parker became a unanimous All-American offensive lineman, helping Ohio State win the 1954 NCAA National Football Championship. 2 years later, he would cap his collegiate career by winning college football's Outland Trophy, emblematic of the best lineman in college football in 1956. Joining the Baltimore Colts of the National Football League in 1956, he became one of the most dominant offensive linemen in the National Football League. During his 10-year career, Jim was selected to the Pro Bowl 5 times at the tackle position. After switching to offensive guard, he earned 3 more Pro Bowl nods. The Colts of his era were a power in the league, featuring All-Pro quarterback Johnny Unitas, running backs Alan the Horse Amici, Lenny Moore, and the all-time great wide receiver Raymond Berry. These Colts would win the NFL titles in 1958 and 1959 and reach the championship game again in 1964. Jim Parker's number 77 was retired by the Colts following his retirement. Parker is enshrined in the Ohio State University Hall of Fame, the College Football Hall of Fame, and the National Football League Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. In 2019, Jim Parker was named to the NFL 100th Anniversary All-Time Team. Julius Adams. Julius Adams was born in Macon in 1948 and graduated from Ballard-Hudson High School. Julius became a 4-year starter at Texas Southern University. While there, he would attain all-conference status in 1968 and again in 1970. After playing in the College All-Star Game in Chicago prior to his rookie NFL season, Julius Adams was chosen in the second round of the 1971 National Football League Draft by the New England Patriots. He was the 27th overall selection in that second round. Standing 6'3" and weighing 270 pounds, he was chosen to the 1971 United Press International All-Rookie Team for the National Football League. 3 years later, Pro Quarterback Magazine would name him one of the NFL's top defensive linemen, an award that he certainly had earned. Selected All-Pro in 1980, Julius Adams led the Patriots with 59 tackles and 9 sacks. A terror on defense, he started all 20 games of the 1985 season, helping spearhead the Patriots to their first Super Bowl berth. Julius Adams would retire following the 1987 season. He is a member of the New England Patriots' 50th anniversary team. Isaac Jackson. When we think of Isaac Jackson, those of a certain era will remember 3 words: see Isaac run. More about that in a moment. Born in Macon in 1952, Isaac Jackson would eventually become one of the most celebrated high school athletes ever to come out of the mid-state Georgia area. In 1968, while playing for Lanier High School, now Central High School in Macon, the junior running back had a breakout season, rushing for over 1,940 yards and scoring 21 touchdowns. His coach, Godfrey Goot Steiner, developed and sent out video highlights of his star pupil to Division I universities. This maneuver eventually resulted in over 100 Division I scholarships being offered to the talented Lanier Poet running back. It also resulted in national network television exposure as Isaac Jackson was interviewed and then featured in live game high school action in the video reel. The name of that video, See Isaac Run, the highlight, and there were many. Following his college career at Kansas State, Isaac Jackson was drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals in the 15th round of the 1974 National Football League draft. Isaac never played a regular season game for the Cincinnati Bengals. His professional career would end with the Chicago Fire of the short-lived World Football League in 1974. John Blue Moon Odom. During the early 1960s, the Ballard-Hudson Tigers high school baseball team in Macon featured an up-and-coming star pitcher, John Odom, known to friends as Blue Moon, the nickname having been given him by a good friend of his who simply thought that his friend's face resembled the moon. Blue Moon led the Tigers to 2 consecutive state titles. His high school pitching record, 42 wins and only 2 defeats. Kansas City Athletics owner Charlie Finley was so impressed by what he had heard about the young phenom in Macon that he traveled all the way to Macon, Georgia, just to see the young man pitch. Following Odom's graduation from Ballard-Hudson, Finley inked him to a deal to come play for his Kansas City A's. Spending most of his 12-year career with the Athletics, he moved with the team to Oakland following the 1967 MLB season. John Blue Moon Odom became a member of the 1972, 73, and 1974 World Series championship teams in Oakland. His postseason record, 3 wins, 1 loss, with a sparkling ERA of 1.13. A 2-time MLB All-Star, Blue Moon also played for the Indians, the Braves, and White Sox in his career. An all-around good baseball athlete, he would hit 12 MLB home runs. He retired with a career record of 84 wins, 85 losses, with yet again a very good ERA of that era, 3.70. Jeff Malone. Macon's Jeff Malone helped lead the undefeated Southwest Patriots to the GHSA state basketball title in 1979. Along the way, that team also earned the mythical national championship, knighted by USA Today and many other media outlets across the United States. A pure shot in high school, Malone took his talents to Starkville, Mississippi, becoming an All-American at Mississippi State. He completed his college career with 2,142 points. Jeff was selected 10th overall in the NBA draft by the Washington Bullets, becoming a first-team NBA All-Rookie Team selection. Quite an honor. In his 13-year NBA playing career, Jeff Malone scored 17,231 points. He averaged a career best 24.3 points per game with the Bullets in 1990. His career featured 6 seasons in which he averaged more than 20 points per game. A 2-time NBA All-Star, the Macon product completed his career with a 19 points a game average. Norm Nixon. A football and basketball star at Macon's Southwest High School, Norm attained All-State honors in both sports. After leading the 1973 Southwest Patriots basketball team to the Georgia High School Association state title, he was selected as a starting guard on the All-State team. Also a track team member, Nixon won the region championship in the high jump with a mark of 6 feet, 5 inches. After attending Duquesne University in Pittsburgh on athletic scholarship, he set a school record with 577 career assists. Following his college career, his number 10 was retired by Duquesne. In an NBA career that spanned 12 seasons and 2 teams, the Los Angeles Lakers and the San Diego Clippers, Nixon was a 2-time NBA All-Star member. Norm Nixon was an integral part of the early 1980s LA Lakers, as Showtime came to impress so many people across our nation and brought the National Basketball Association back into prime time. Elmore Smith. Elmore Smith was a powerhouse basketball player at Ballard-Hudson High School in Macon. His college career took him to Kentucky State, becoming an All-American. Grabbing 799 rebounds in 1971, Smith would then lead Kentucky State to the NAIA championships his final 2 seasons, averaging 25.5 points and 24.2 rebounds. Drafted by the Buffalo Braves as the 3rd overall selection in the first round of the 1971 NBA draft, Elmore Smith would parlay his shot blocking abilities in the NBA to earn the nickname Elmore the Rejector. Posting 17 blocks in one game against Portland in 1973, Smith led the NBA in shots blocked the following 2 seasons, 1974 and again in 75. Smith averaged a double-double, 13.4 points and 10.6 rebounds over the course of his 8-year NBA career. A standout football player at Ballard-Hudson High School in Macon, Tommy Lee Hart would play his college ball at Morris Brown College in Atlanta. Playing 3 different positions during his college career, Hart earned 4 letters. A versatile athlete, he also received 3 letters in track as a sprinter and shot putter. A 3-time all-conference selection in football, Hart earned a second-team NAIA All-American designation as a senior. Drafted in the 10th round of the 1968 NFL Draft by the San Francisco 49ers, his pro career spanned 12 seasons with 3 teams: the 49ers, Chicago Bears, and the New Orleans Saints. Selected to the Pro Bowl in 1976 while with the 49ers, Hart totaled 16 sacks that season. Tommy Hart's career shows the accomplishments of having been a member of 3 Super Bowl winning teams. Robert Scott. Born in Macon, Robert Scott joined the New York Black Yankees at the tender age of 16 years old. Playing in the Negro Leagues from 1946 through the 1950 seasons, Scott played for the Black Yankees during 1946 through 1948. Scott played with and against some of the greatest players ever in baseball history, including Satchel Paige, Monty Irvin, Roy Campanella, Jackie Robinson, and so many others. In addition to his seasons with the Black Yankees, Robert Scott also played for the Boston Blues of the Negro Leagues. In 1950, he essentially capped off his career by playing with the Jackie Robinson All-Stars at Macon's own Luther Williams Field. Scott was selected by the New York Mets in the Major League Baseball Special 2008 Negro League Draft. Mr. Scott was eventually honored at Turner Field in Atlanta in 2016 by the Atlanta Braves. Bobby Henley, an outstanding left-handed pitcher at Lanier High School and Mercer University in Macon, Bobby Henley would sign with the Milwaukee Braves as a free agent in 1958. His professional career spanned over 7 seasons with 4 teams: the Braves, San Francisco 49ers, Chicago Cubs, and the New York Mets. While with Chicago, Henley achieved near immortality on September 9th, 1965. While playing a game at Dodger Stadium against the Dodgers, he spun a 1-hitter, allowing only 1 run. Unfortunately for him that night and the Cubs, his mound opponent, the great Sandy Koufax, would pitch a perfect game, winning the game 1-0. 5 days later, the 2 pitchers hooked up again at Chicago's Wrigley Field. Henley bettered Koufax this time, winning that game 2-1 and only surrendering 4 hits. Following his Major League Baseball career, Bobby became a stellar high school baseball coach in Middle Georgia, leading River North Academy to 4 state championships as the manager. Upon that school's closing, Bobby became a coach at Macon's Stratford Academy, where he would then help lead the Stratford Eagles to 5 more state championships. Bobby Bryant. Bobby Bryant was a 3-sport star at Willingham High School in Macon. Playing baseball and football at the University of South Carolina, he was named ACC Athlete of the Year in 1966 and again in 1967. Selected in the 7th round by the Minnesota Vikings in the 1967 NFL Draft, Bryant played 13 seasons as a defensive back on the Vikings' celebrated Purple Gang defense of the 1970s. A 2-time NFL Pro Bowl selection, Bryant returned a blocked field goal attempt for a touchdown in the 1976 NFC Championship game. He also had 2 interceptions in the same game. Having his career-high 7 interceptions in 1978, Bobby would retire 2 seasons later at the age of 36. Totaling 161 NFL games and 51 interceptions in his career, Bobby Bryant played in all 4 of the Vikings Super Bowls. The Bonifay family. When we talk about talent in one family, we're talking about the Bonifays. With a sports legacy dating back many decades, 4 members of the Bonifay family have been elected to the Macon Sports Hall of Fame. Bob Bonifay was a longtime baseball executive. While serving as the general manager of the 1962 Peaches, featuring Pete Rose and Tommy Helms, and managed by Dave Bristol, they won the Sally League Championship. Cam Bonifay became a Major League Baseball scout and executive. Along the way, he was the general manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates from 1993 through 2001. Brandon Bonifay played baseball at Georgia Tech and then for several years in the minor leagues in the Pittsburgh Pirates system. Ken Bonifay was All-State in 3 sports at Lanier High School in the 1960s, then played football for Bobby Dodd at Georgia Tech. James J.T. Thomas. James Thomas, better known as J.T., lettered in football, basketball, and track while at Lanier High School in Macon. He became the first African American to receive a full athletic scholarship to Florida State University. As a freshman there, he recorded 83 tackles, 6 interceptions, and 3 blocked kicks. Earning All-American honors his senior year, JT was selected in the first round of the 1973 National Football League draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers, at that time in the process of forming their dynasty of the 1970s. JT played 15 games his rookie year in the NFL. Teaming with Mel Blount, another Middle Georgia product, the 2 cornerbacks formed one of the best duos in NFL history. While a member of the famous Steel Curtain defense, JT and the Steelers captured 4 Super Bowl crowns in 6 years. Greg Montgomery. After starring at Bicentennial Elementary School and then Willingham High School, later of course to be named Southwest High in Macon, achieving all GHSA status in the process, Greg Montgomery played his college football for Paul Bear Bryant at the University of Alabama. Topping out at 6 foot 3 inches tall and weighing 230 pounds, Greg became a star linebacker for the Bears teams in the early 1970s in Tuscaloosa. Lettering in multiple years at Bama, he would play in some of the most celebrated bowl games of that decade. These include the 1973 NCAA National Championship game, decided on New Year's Eve at the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. Alabama would lose a heartbreaker to Notre Dame 24-23. Another close loss to the Fighting Irish in the 1975 Orange Bowl in Miami by a score of 13-11 cannot obscure the fact that Greg Montgomery was an outstanding player a key contributor to many of Alabama's great teams of the early and mid-1970s. Jamie Kaplan. Growing up in Macon, Jamie Kaplan became an outstanding tennis player. She remained undefeated throughout her entire high school career at Stratford Academy. Her college career began at the University of Georgia. While there, she won the Southeastern Conference doubles championship in 1981. Later playing for the Florida State University Seminoles team in Tallahassee, Jamie secured another memorable moment in her career. She became the first player from Florida State to qualify for the NCAA championships. In 1983, Kaplan captured the Metro Conference Singles Championship. She also won 2 Metro Conference doubles titles. Turning pro after her college career, Kaplan was featured in the main draw of all 4 Grand Slam tournaments. Jamie reached the round of 16 in mixed doubles at the 1987 Wimbledon Championships. Jamie later became a celebrated tennis coach. Craig Hertwig, a giant of a man and perhaps a giant of a legacy. A product of Mark Smith High School in Macon, Craig Hertwig played college football at the University of Georgia. Standing 6 foot 8 inches tall, he was given the nickname early in life of Sky. At UGA, Hertwig played in the 1973 Peach Bowl and the 1974 Tangerine Bowl ball games. Elected as a captain his senior year, Craig was named All-SEC by the Associated Press and the United Press International in 1974. An offensive tackle, he was drafted by the Detroit Lions in the 4th round of the 1975 NFL Draft, the 94th overall selection. After playing the 1975, 76, and 1977 seasons with the Lions, Hertwig played for the Buffalo Bills in 1978. Following his playing days, Craig all but retired to Athens, Georgia, where he'd played his college ball, owning a bar not far from the stadium in which he had starred just a few years before. The name of his bar, of course, Sky's Place. Godfrey Goot Steiner. Godfrey Goot Steiner coached multiple sports at 5 different schools during his coaching career, spanning almost 2 decades. Head coach of the baseball team, basketball team, and football teams at Macon's Dudley Hughes High, Steiner found most of his success on the diamond. He led the Wolverines to the playoffs 8 seasons, winning 3 state crowns along the way. On the gridiron, he led the Lanier Poets, later becoming the Central Chargers, in Macon to the brink of greatness, losing the 1972 GHSA football state title game to Lakeside of Atlanta in December of 1972, a game played at Macon's historic Porter Stadium. Among the many great players who played under Goot and his forceful hand, fellow Macon Sports Hall of Fame member Isaac Jackson and James J.T. Thomas rank at the top of the list. Steiner's Lanier and Central football teams compiled a 58, 8, and 2 record. His life in many ways is summed up simply by the words engraved on his tombstone: discipline, desire, dedication, the difference between mediocrity and success. William Young Stribling. Macon native W.L. Stribling had his first pro fight at age 16. Moving through 7 weight divisions during the next 9 years, he would settle in as a heavyweight by 1929. Barnstorming across America in 1925, the young fighter traveled 18,000 miles. The fabled writer Damon Runyon bestowed the moniker King of the Canebrake on him, due primarily to the popularity the fighter enjoyed in the many rural areas where he had appeared across the country. In a heavyweight title elimination bout against future heavyweight champion Jack Sharkey in 1929, the Maconite lost on points in a 10-round bout at the Flamingo Park in Miami Beach. Sporting a career record of 221 wins with 125 knockouts, W.L. Stribling possessed a dazzling arsenal of effective punches. Stribling was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1966. Orville Inman Coote Veal. Born in Sandersville, Georgia, Veal attended Auburn University, playing basketball and baseball. Standing 6'1" and weighing 165 pounds, he was signed by the Detroit Tigers before the 1952 Major League Baseball season. A solid defensive shortstop, Veal played for 3 Major League Baseball teams over his 6-year career: the Tigers, the Washington Senators, and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Selected in the 1960 American League expansion draft, Coote Veal was the first player to come to bat for the second generation of the Washington Senators. On April 10, 1961, President John Fitzgerald Kennedy threw out the ceremonial first pitch at Washington's Griffith Stadium. A career highlight would occur during that game for Mr. Veal. He led off the bottom of the first inning with a hit against future Hall of Famer Early Wynn. Arnold Bloom. Arnold Bloom won golf state championships at Macon's Lanier High School in 1937 and again in 1939. Attending the University of Georgia, Bloom helped pace the Bulldogs golf team to the SEC championship in 1941. While possessing enough skill on the links to enter the professional golf ranks, the Macon native chose to maintain his amateur status throughout the rest of his life. Other than the great Bobby Jones, Arnold Bloom is perhaps the best amateur golfer that the state of Georgia has thus far produced. Winning the Southeastern Amateur 3 times, the Georgia Amateur 5 times, the Southern Amateur twice, Bloom was also a member of the victorious 1957 U.S. Walker Cup team. He won tournaments nationwide. A Masters tournament participant 5 times, he finished in the top 24 in 1952. Arnold played in the U.S. Amateur 16 times. Arnold Bloom is enshrined as a member of the Southern Golf Association Hall of Fame.
Hello, my name is Marion McMillan Jr. Tommy Mixon. Tommy Mixon was a Lanier and Mercer University standout in both basketball and baseball. He captained both teams while at Mercer. Mixon scored more than 1,700 points at Mercer and was drafted by both the world champion Brooklyn Dodgers baseball team and the world champion Fort Wayne Pistons basketball team. His jersey number 7 was retired following his playing career with the Bears. Tommy decided to try professional baseball and played for Thomasville in the Georgia-Florida League and then for Macon in the South Atlantic League. After his playing days, Tommy was the head basketball coach at Lanier and Central High Schools, where he also coached football, baseball, golf, and tennis. He worked as a baseball scout for the Los Angeles Dodgers for almost 30 years. He is a member of the Mercer and Georgia Sports Hall of Fame. John Drew Smith. John Drew Smith was a tennis ambassador for Macon who served as tennis professional at the Tatnall Square Park Tennis Center. His dedication to help lure top tennis events in town helped secure the junior qualifying tournament to Macon in the 1970s. Smith was instrumental in Macon's construction of the 24-court facility off Northside Drive, which would be appropriately bear his name. The John Drew Smith Tennis Center is regarded as one of the top 25 public municipal facilities in the nation by Tennis Magazine and the United States Tennis Association. Almost every competitive junior player from the state of Georgia in the last 30 years have played at this renowned facility. In 2005, Racket Sports Industry named John Drew Smith Tennis Center the Municipal Facility of the Year. Jackie Cranford. Jackie Cranford was a heavyweight boxer who had a professional record of 41 wins, which included 26 knockouts, 10 losses, 5 of those by knockout, and 2 draws in his 53 matches. He was referred to as the second Gene Tunney. Jackie started boxing in Washington, D.C. while in high school and later turned professional. He took a brief absence from the ring to serve in the United States Coast Guard from 1942 through 1945. But after his discharge, he continued his professional career. At one point, he ranked 3rd in the heavyweight division. Cranford retired in 1948, returning to Macon, Georgia, where he worked as a boxing referee and manager. Jackie was inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame in Washington, D.C. in 1987. Kareem Jackson. Kareem Jackson currently plays as a strong safety for the Denver Broncos of the National Football League. He also played 8 years with the Houston Texans, who selected him in the first round of the 2010 National Football League draft. He played college football for the University of Alabama from 2007 through 2009. Jackson attended Westside High School in Macon, Georgia, where he rushed for 1,436 yards, scored 20 touchdowns, made 9 receptions for 256 yards. Ben Zambezi. Ben Zambezi was a 3-year letterman in football and baseball at Mount DeSales High School. He led the Cavaliers to 3 state football championships and was named All-State in 1973. He was a 3-time All-SEC linebacker at the University of Georgia in the mid-1970s and had 465 tackles in his career. In 1978, he was the 10th round choice of the Chicago Bears of the National Football League. Midway through the 1978 season, he decided to join the Hamilton Tiger Cats of the Canadian Football League as a linebacker. He was named the most outstanding rookie in the Eastern Division in 1978 and received all Eastern and all Canadian honors throughout his playing career. In 1979, he won the Shinley Award for the most outstanding defensive player in the Canadian Football League. In 1988, Zambezi joined the Toronto Argonauts and played his final season of an 11-year career. Zambezi has been named to the Tiger Cats Walk of Fame and Wall of Honor, the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame, and is a member of the University of Georgia's Team of the Century. Neil Callaway. Neil Callaway was an all-star football player at Central in 1971. He then moved to Tuscaloosa and would play 5 different positions at the University of Alabama for Paul Bear Bryant. Callaway began his coaching career as part of Pat Dye's staff at East Carolina University. He stayed with Dye as the staff went first to the University of Wyoming before landing at Auburn, where Callaway was named offensive line coach. In 12 years with Auburn, the team won a share of 4 Southeastern Conference titles, and Callaway coached 4 All-Americans. After working as an assistant at both Houston and his alma mater, Alabama, Callaway joined Mark Richards' staff at the University of Georgia in 2001 as line coach and coordinator, where the team won the 3 SEC division titles and 2 conference championships in 6 years there. He left Georgia to become the head coach at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, where he stayed 5 seasons from 2007 until 2011. Frank Glover Sr. Dr. Frank Glover was the longtime educator and NFL official. He was the first NFL referee from the South and the 4th African-American referee in the history of the league. He served 17 years on the field and another 17 years as an NFL observer. He started out as a field judge and worked in that role for one season before he became a head linesman for the remainder of his career. Glover officiated 14 playoff games, including Denver's famous 34-21 victory over Pittsburgh in 1977. He also served as head linesman for 2 Hall of Fame games. Prior to working in the NFL, he officiated in the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Association. He is a member of the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame. He retired from the Atlanta Public Schools as assistant superintendent after 35 years of service. Jesse James Taylor. Jesse James Taylor was the first Bibb County native to race in the Grand National Division of NASCAR. As a kid, Taylor finished second in the 1951 Southern 500, but was severely injured afterwards at Lakewood. He returned to Darlington in 1956, but never recaptured his earlier success. He was on the NASCAR circuit for 5 years, with his last race coming in the Dixie 400 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway in 1961. His best year was 1951, when he took part in 10 races with 1 top 5 finish at Darlington. Once his NASCAR days ended, Taylor returned to Middle Georgia and dominated the local racing scene. The Putnell brothers, starting with Rex, going to Steve, and ending in Stan. Rex Putnell was a 2-sport standout at Lanier High School. As a senior, playing both quarterback and wide receiver, he led the Poets to a 7-3 record. Rex was the first team All-American selection and chosen to play for the winning South team in the GACA All-Star game at Grant Field in Atlanta. Putnell led the Lanier basketball team to a 26-3 record, averaging a team best 17.4 points per game. He was a 3-year letter winner at the University of Georgia. Steve Putnell was a football standout at Lanier's High School for Coach Godfrey Gooch Steiner in the late 1960s. He signed with Georgia Tech and was a starting linebacker for the Jackets. In 1973, he was named captain. Unfortunately, multiple injuries prevented Putnell from having an NFL career. Stan Putnell was the youngest of the 3 brothers. Stan Putnell played 3 years at Central High School. He was a standout wide receiver, defensive back, and special teams player. He was on the last state championship team for Macon, Georgia's public schools in 1975. Latavia Coleman led the Southwest girls to the state basketball championship game in her sophomore and junior years. Her talents earned a scholarship to the Florida State Seminoles, where she ranks as one of the top players in Florida State Seminoles history. She finished her career ranking 5th all-time with points, with 1,428 and a scoring average of 15.7, and was in the top 10 rebounding with 603 rebounds. In her senior season, she earned second-team All-ACC honors after leading the league in field goal percentage at 50% and ranking second in scoring at 16.1 points per game. She also earned ACC tournament honors as a first-team selection after scoring 31 points in FSU's win over Maryland. After her playing days, Latavia moved into coaching and is currently head girls coach at Howard. In addition, she was the first woman player for FSU to be selected in the 3rd round of the WNBA draft. Terry Fair. Terry Fair played on one of the greatest basketball teams in Georgia high school history, the 1979 Southwest Macon Patriots. He averaged 21.1 points per game and 15.2 points per game for a squad that captured state and national championships. The 6'7" center was heavily recruited and picked the University of Georgia, where he was a 4-year starter for the Bulldogs, highlighted by the team's 1983 SEC tournament title, which claimed their first NCAA bid. Fair was an integral force, leading Georgia to an improbable Final Four appearance. In the East Regional semifinal against third-ranked St. John's, Fair scored a career-high 27 points to go along with 9 rebounds and 5 steals. The Dogs would lose to eventual national championship North Carolina State, 67-60 in the national semifinals. Fair was picked by the Indiana Pacers in the 4th round of the 1983 NBA draft. He went on to play professionally in Israel for a decade. Earl Bowden. Earl Bowden is one of Macon's top all-time amateur golfers. He played the sport at the University of Georgia for 3 seasons from 1955 through 1957. One of his best amateur wins came when he captured the Southeastern Amateur Championship at the Columbus Country Club in 1966. That same year, he teamed with John Marbert to win the Peach Blossom title. He has won the Cherry Blossom Senior Championship 3 times, the 1994 Georgia Seniors Championship, the Tennessee Super Senior Amateur Tournament Championship in Asheville, and is 6 times Idle Hour Club champion. Walter Daniels. Walter Stinky Daniels is one of the finest high school basketball players to ever come out of the city of Macon. Playing for the legendary Don Richardson of basketball power Southwest High, he was a member of the 1973 state championship team and then led the Patriots to the 1975 title. He signed a basketball scholarship with the University of Georgia, where he won all SEC honors for 3 seasons. He led Georgia in scoring as a junior and senior and finished his career with 1,679 points and 299 assists, which were both University of Georgia records at the time. He was drafted by the NBA's Los Angeles Lakers in the 3rd round in 1980, but never played for that team. However, he did play briefly abroad. He was chosen in the 2011 SEC Basketball Legends class and was honored at the league's basketball tournament along with representatives of the other 11 schools in the conference. Charlie Anderson. There's no question that Charlie Anderson is the best basketball player to ever play at Mark Smith's high school during his 6-year history that ran from 1965 through 1970, which was also Anderson's senior year. In 1970, Mark Smith merged with Peter G. Appleton and Lassiter to form Northeast High School. The 6'4" Anderson led Mark Smith to their only state championship in any sport, guiding them to the unexpected Class AAA basketball title in 1968 through 1969. Anderson led the way with 32 points in the championship game and was named the most valuable player of the state tournament, which helped him earn a basketball scholarship to the University of Georgia. Anderson was a 3-year letterman for the Bulldogs and a team captain his senior year when he averaged 14.3 points per game and 6.3 rebounds per game. He had a career-high 36 points in a game against Auburn University. Anderson spent 1 year playing professionally for Brest in France. Corey Williams. Corey Williams is the current assistant basketball coach for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. He was a prior head basketball coach for Stetson University. Williams played collegiately for Oklahoma State University from 1988 through 1992 as a point guard. He was selected in the 2nd round of the 1992 NBA draft by the Chicago Bulls and played on the 1992 NBA championship team. He also played for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Williams was a standout athlete for Northeast High School in both football and basketball, being selected by the Kansas City Chiefs in the 1992 NFL draft. Williams has had coaching positions at Oral Roberts, Florida State, and Arkansas. Milton Kyer was a 2-sport star in baseball and football at Southwest High School. He signed a football scholarship to Florida State. However, he was drafted in the 2nd round of the Major League Baseball draft by the Detroit Tigers in the 1986 amateur draft and bypassed the football offer. Kyer batted .257 and stole 41 bases during his rookie season of 1991 and finished third behind Juan Guzman and eventual winner Chuck Knobloch for the American League Rookie of the Year award. Cayo spent 6 years in the Tigers organization and then spent one season each in Boston and Texas. In 490 career games from 1990 through 1998, Milt tallied 329 hits, 10 home runs, and 119 runs batted in, with a .37 career average. M.L. Lem Clark was involved in baseball in Macon for more than 50 years, primarily as a volunteer. He was a founding father of the Macon Little League. Clark was a volunteer coach at River North for fellow Hall of Famer member Bobby Henley, and later for another Hall of Famer, Bubba Adams, at Stratford. Clark was an assistant where he was part of 4 state championship teams at each school. Stratford recognized his contributions to the baseball program by inducting him into the school's Athletic Hall of Fame in 2014. Thomas Bell. Thomas Bell is arguably the best slow-pitch softball player to ever come out of Macon. He played for the nationally known Howard's Furniture team from 1979 through 1984 after having successful years with other nationally known teams such as Reed's Nuts and Dave Carroll's Sports. His composite figure with Howard's totaled 995 home runs, 2,065 runs batted in, and a .662 batting average. Overall, he hit 2,390 home runs and was a 10-time All-American who played for 6 national championship teams. Tom was inducted into the ASA Hall of Fame in 1990. Plus, he was a member of the 1980s All-Decade Team, the all-time ASA second team, and was a Player of the Year candidate in 1981. Alfred Sams. Alfred Sams, a top Macon amateur golfer who played left-handed long before Phil Mickelson and Bubba Watson made it popular. He played on a state championship team at Lanier High School and later won 2 Macon Middle Georgia golf tournaments. He was part of 4 winning teams at the prestigious Peach Blossom 4 tournament at Idle Hour. He and Carling Schultzman won the event in 1954, 1956, and 1957, and he partnered with Arnold Bloom to win again in 1962. He won a National Left-Handed Golfer Association Championship. Alfred was the captain of his college golf team at the University of the South. Donnie Banks. Donnie Banks is a Macon native who attended Stratford Academy while working for the family's bicycle and motorcycle dealerships. He became a heralded performer across racing circles, and in 1979, Donnie quit college because a final exam on a Saturday prevented him from competing in a motorcycle race. The move proved to be the right one, as Banks claimed an all-terrain vehicle racing championship and was named 4-time People's Choice All-Terrain Vehicle Promoter of the Year. He won numerous titles on the motocross circuit in the mid to late 1980s. Banks, who remained in the family business as owner-operator of Capital Cycle in Macon, was a United States Arena Cross National Championship and California Golden State champion in 1986. A year later, he added the title of Olympiad champion.
Robert Slocum Jr. Frank Malloy. Frank Malloy has been a mainstay on Macon television sets since 1982, when he became sports director at WMAZ TV. He came to Macon after spending 2.5 years as sports anchor at WRBL TV in Columbus. In 1993, he switched chairs and started anchoring the news station program at 5, 6, 10, and 11 p.m. Malloy and former sports anchor Brad Bibb co-founded a high school football wrap-up show called Football Friday Night, which Malloy still hosts. He has served as the MC for the annual Macon Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremonies for almost 2 decades. Bobby Pope. Bobby Pope and sports in Middle Georgia have been synonymous for more than 6 decades. In 1970, the Thomaston native became WMAZ TV and radio sports director, producing a daily sports show for both radio and television. During his time with the station, he completed his degree from Georgia College. Bobby created the Saturday Scoreboard, a football call-in show that was hosted for 37 years. And he also did a daily show entitled A Great Day in Sports. While still at WMAZ, Bobby joined Mercer University as a part-time sports information director. He later became the school's athletic director in 1989. During his time at Mercer, he was instrumental in upgrading many campus facilities, as well as playing a role in the construction of the University Center, where the Bears play basketball and volleyball games. Barney Hester. Barney Hester is one of the winningest prep football coaches in Georgia history. The Georgia Southern graduate actually started his career on Irk Russell's first staff at Georgia Southern in 1981. Barney Hester would soon transition to high school sidelines, where he is one of 13 coaches to win 300 or more games, compiling a record of 340, 167, and 9. He won 19 region championships and 11 state titles in 31 seasons at Tatnall Square Academy before taking over at Howard High School in 2013. Harley Bowers. Harley Bowers was a longtime editor and columnist at the Macon Telegraph, penning more than 11,000 columns for the newspaper from 1959 to 1996. Bowers initially received a tennis scholarship at West Georgia College, but transferred to the University of Georgia, where he was named the school's most outstanding journalism graduate in 1942. He also had stints with the Columbus Inquirer, the Albany Herald. In Albany, he served as public relations director for the St. Louis Cardinals, which had its training complex there. During his career, Bowers covered such athletes as Pete Rose, who played for the 1962 Macon Peaches. Bowers helped launch the Macon Sports Commission and played a key role in getting the Atlanta Braves to put a Class A baseball team in Macon. Jim Nolan. Jim Nolan earned Best Athlete awards in both 1944 and 1945 at Lanier High School. He won 9 letters in basketball, football, track, and tennis. Jim was a 3-year letterman at Georgia Tech in football and basketball. He was selected to the 1948 All-SEC basketball tournament team. Nolan was captain of the Tech basketball team in 1948. He was drafted by the NBA Philadelphia Warriors, but played just 1 season, appearing in 5 games. He returned to Georgia and started coaching, leading the Tech freshman basketball team from 1955 to 57. Then he became the Lanier football coach in the early 1960s. Billy Henderson. Billy Henderson was an all-around top athlete while at Lanier High School in Macon. He excelled in several sports, impressing onlookers in football, baseball, track and field, swimming, and other sports. That talent continued through college, where Billy played football and baseball at the University of Georgia. After his playing days, Henderson put together a legendary coaching career. His stops included stints at Jefferson High School, Athens High, Willingham High School, and Mount DeSales. At the college level, he spent time at Furman and the University of South Carolina. Billy accepted a head coaching position at Clark Central High School in 1973. He compiled a record of 222 wins, 65 losses, and 1 tie, with 3 state championships in football. Johnny Henderson. Johnny played 3 major sports at Mount DeSales Academy and was named Macon Telegraph Football Player of the Year in 1973. He boasted a career batting average of .500 and was drafted in 3rd round by the Chicago Cubs. He spurned offers to sign a football scholarship at the University of Georgia. He was a 3-year starter as a defensive back for the Bulldogs. Henderson snagged 4 interceptions in 1976 for the famed Junkyard Dog defense. He also made a critical fourth down stop that season against Florida, with the Gators leading 27-20 and driving. Georgia would rally to win that game. Claudia Goff. Claudia is one of Macon's all-time top tennis players. Playing at Mount DeSales Academy, she earned all region and all state honors while winning the state title. She was ranked number 1 in Georgia in her age group for 3 years and ranked number 8 in the South. She won both the Georgia State Open and the Southeastern Junior Invitational. In 1983, she signed with Florida State, where she was a 4-year letter winner for the Seminoles. During her career with the Lady Noes, she posted a 32-14 record in singles and was 12 in doubles competition. Stephanie Smith. Stephanie Smith was an outstanding track and field athlete at Northeast High School here in Macon. Stephanie helped lead Northeast to Georgia High School Association AAA state championships in 2001 and in 2002. In 2001, Stephanie had first place finishes in the 200-meter dash, the 400-meter relay, and the 1,600-meter relay. In 2002, she finished first in the 200-meter dash, the 400-meter dash, and the 400-meter relay, and the 1,600-meter relay. In 2003, Stephanie won the state 200-meter championship. After high school, Stephanie attended the University of South Carolina on a track scholarship. As a Gamecock, Stephanie set indoor records during the 2004 season in the 200-meter dash and the 400-meter dash. During the 2005 season, she set an all-time program record in the 400-meter dash and as a member of the 4x400-meter relay team. In 2006, Stephanie was the NCAA Division I outdoor champion in the 400-meter dash. And in 2007, Stephanie was the NCAA Division I champion as a member of the Gamecocks indoor 4x400-meter relay team. During her career as a Gamecock, Stephanie picked up 8 All-American honors, including a gold medal in the 4x400-meter relay. LaKeven Smith. LaKeven Smith is Stratford Academy's most acclaimed football player. He led the Eagles to 2 GISA state titles as a defensive lineman and was named to the USA Today Georgia Player of the Year and a Rivals.com All-American. In addition to football, he led it in track and field 4 times, winning 4 titles in the discus and 2 in the shot put. He signed to play at the University of Nebraska, where he was a mainstay on the defensive line for the Huskers. He finished his career with 36 tackles for loss, the second highest total for a defensive lineman in Nebraska history. He was chosen in the 6th round of the 2006 NFL Draft by the New England Patriots, where he recorded 18 tackles, had 1 fumble recovery, and 31 games which he played, including the Super Bowl against the Giants. LaKeven was traded to the Denver Broncos during his 2009 season, where he recorded 10 tackles, 1 sack for that season. Catherine Rader Wood. Catherine Rader Wood helped lead First Presbyterian Day School to their first 3 GISA Class AAA basketball championships in 1991, scoring 34 of her team's 41 points in a win over Windsor Academy. She is FPD's all-time career scoring leader with 1,455 points and is also the single-season scoring leader, where she tallied 567 points during the 1991 season. She is also the FPD all-time leader in blocked shots with 352. Rader was an all-state performer in 1990 and 91 and was the MVP for those seasons. After her high school career, she went on to Wofford in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and was a 4-year starter for the Terriers and a member of the 1,000-point club. She served as the team captain during her senior season in 1995. Lane Lassiter Bolton. Lane Lassiter Bolton was a two-time All-State selection at Stratford Academy while leading the Lady Eagles to 3 consecutive state championships and a 60-0 record in the 1976-77, 1977-78. At Stratford Academy, Lane holds the single-season record for points with 790, on her way to scoring 1,500 for her career. She is also the school's single-season career rebounding leader. Lassiter signed a basketball scholarship to Florida State, where she scored over 1,000 points and grabbed 624 rebounds. As a freshman, she scored 12 double-doubles, which stood as an FSU women's record for more than 30 years. Lane had 4 30-plus point games during her career with the Noles, with a high of 34 coming against Southeastern Louisiana. Edgar Hatcher. Edgar Hatcher was a standout athlete at Mount DeSales Academy, winning 12 letters during his illustrious high school career. 4 in football, 4 in basketball, 4 in baseball. After graduation in 1964, Edgar earned a baseball and basketball scholarship to Florida State University. Edgar embarked on a high school coaching career with stops at Monroe Academy, Northeast, and Southwest High Schools in Macon. In Forsyth, Hatcher coached at Monroe Academy, and his teams won 2 SEAIS state championships. Mark Mims. Mark Mims was an all-state pitcher at Windsor Academy from 1984 to 1987. In 89 innings for the Knights, he racked up 174 strikeouts with an impressive .94 ERA. He stayed home to play his college career at Mercer University. With the Bears, Mark tossed 8 complete games during the 1990 season and was selected in the 25th round of the Major League Baseball draft by the Los Angeles Dodgers. During his rookie campaign in Great Falls, Mark was 7-4 with league-leading 94 strikeouts. The following year, at a Class A Bakersfield, Mark had 12 wins, 6 losses, with a sizzling 2.22 ERA. He marched to the top of the Dodgers farm system, where he would post a 14-13 mark with AAA Albuquerque over the 1995 and 96 seasons. After quick stints, the Red Sox and Astros organizations, Mims landed with the Mets and posted a 9-2 record with a 2.08 ERA for the AAA Norfolk baseball team in 1998. Michael Mims. Michael Mims is one of the finest baseball players to ever come out of Macon. After a stellar career at Windsor Academy, he played collegiately at Mercer University for the fellow Macon Sports Hall of Fame member Barry Myers. He was picked in the 24th round of the Major League Baseball draft by the Los Angeles Dodgers in 1990. After being released by the Dodgers, he signed as a free agent with the Montreal Expos, led their Class AA Harrisburg team with an 11-4 record and a 3.46 ERA. His performance attracted attention of the Philadelphia Phillies. Mims made his way to the major leagues in 1995 with the Phillies and spent 3 years with the league, appearing in 73 games with 37 starts. James Outlaw. James Outlaw was Ballard Hudson High School's last great basketball player prior to the merge of the school with Willingham to form Southwest High School during integration. The 6-foot guard was a Parade magazine All-American. In his senior season, he averaged 34 points per game. He led the Maroon Tigers to a berth in the Georgia State High School Association tournament where they lost 74-64 in the semifinals to the eventual state champion Decatur. During his senior season, Outlaw scored a career-high 53 points against Willingham. He also averaged more than 30 points a game during his junior year. After he completed his high school career, He signed a scholarship to play basketball at North Carolina A&T. At A&T, Outlaw was a two-time all-conference selection. He averaged 16.6 points per game, and as a junior, 24.9 his senior year. He was drafted by the professional team in Munich, Germany. Laura Conway. Laura Conway is the most decorated swimmer in Macon history. While still in high school at Central High School, where she was a three-time Scholastic All-American, Conway qualified for the Olympic trials in the 800-meter freestyle. She continued her success in Athens at the University of Georgia. She was a five-time All-American for the Bulldogs. She won the SEC championship in the 500-yard freestyle and also took top spot in the same event in 2006 in the NCAA Division I National Championships. Conway earned a place on the United States national team, the only Maconite to ever accomplish that feat. At the World Championships in 2005, she had a fourth-place finish in the 800-meter freestyle. She qualified for the U.S. national team in 2006 at the University of Georgia and made a decision to retire. Walter Lewis Johnson. Walter Johnson was a scoring machine at Macon's Peter G. Appling High School, averaging 21 points a game while being named Most Valuable Player and Most Athletic his senior year. Walter carried his basketball skills to Fort Valley State University, where he averaged 24 points per game during his career. He was instrumental in helping the Wildcats win their first SIAC championship in 1969. After graduating, Johnson joined the staff at Southwest High School, working as an assistant under Hall of Famer Don Richardson. After helping the Patriots claim state titles in 1973 and 75, Walter moved across town to take the reins as head basketball coach at Northeast High School. Johnson enjoyed a stellar career with the Raiders during his 24 years at the helm. Northeast made 8 state title appearances, making 4 trips to the Final Four, which twice ended with Northeast in the championship game. Ironically, in 1979, Johnson lost to his former boss at Southwest, who beat Northeast in the title game. Al Lucas. Al Lucas played football at Northeast High School. While a Raider, he set the school record with a 440-pound bench press, which earned him the nickname Big Luke. Al signed to play football at Troy State University. During his senior season in 1999, he won the Buck Buchanan Award as the most outstanding defensive player in NCAA Division I AA. He was also honored with a unanimous All-American and All-Southland Football League first-team honor. After making the team as an undrafted free agent, Lucas played 20 games for the Carolina Panthers in the NFL. He also played in the Arena Football League for Tampa Bay and the Arizona Rattlers. Roger Jackson. Roger Jackson is a former standout at Central High School and a member of the Chargers' AAA state championship team that beat Douglas of Atlanta for the crown. He played football at Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach, Florida. Jackson led it 2 years in track as a long jumper and was a 4-year starter in football, serving as team captain his senior year. Undrafted, Roger signed a free agent contract with the Denver Broncos and played 5 NFL seasons, appearing in 53 games with 2 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery. In 1984, he played for Denver's AFC West title team. In 1987, he helped the Broncos advance to the Super Bowl. Jackson retired in 1997. Bruce Gordy. Bruce Gordy was an all-state basketball player at Lanier High School, where he led the Poets to a 26-3 record in the 1968 state tournament, where they lost to Turner of Atlanta 56-49. He averaged 17 points per game his senior season, and he also received a scholarship to Mercer University, where he was a 4-year starter. He scored 1,227 points in his career with the Bears and averaged 15.4 points per game as a sophomore. Following graduation from Mercer, he attended medical school and he became a dentist. He has served as a dentist for virtually every professional team in Orlando, including the Orlando Magic.
Hello, my name is Mildred Howard. Donald Duck Richardson. Donald Duck Richardson was one of Georgia's and the nation's top high school basketball coaches. He coached at Southwest High School from 1971 until 1990. At Southwest, Richardson won 6 state championships and 10 region championships. Many high school observers believe the 1979 team is the best in the state's history. This squad, which was led by future NBA standout Jeff Malone, Terry Fair, and Michael Hunt, finished 28-0 and claimed the mythical national championship as the country's best high school team. Richardson sent many players on to college basketball, including a few who made it to the NBA. He was the state coach of the year 6 times, the All-Middle Georgia Coach of the Year 7 times, and was named Middle Georgia Coach of the Decade in 1970. He had a 463-90 career, wins and losses. He left Southwest in 1991 to begin the basketball program at Macon State College. Robert Dad Slocum Sr. Robert Slocum Sr. was an outstanding athlete at Savannah State University, where he was a 2-time All-American halfback in 1951 and 52. He led the 1951 Tigers football team to the Southeastern Athletic Conference Championship. After his playing days, Slocum served as athletic director and head football coach at Ballard-Hudson High School from 1957 to 1969, winning the state title in 1959. Slocum also coached the Tigers baseball team and captured state crowns in that sport in 1958 and 63. Mr. Slocum is a member of the Savannah State University Hall of Fame. Sharon Wright. Sharon Wright was a basketball standout at Southwest High School, where he averaged 24 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 blocked shots as a senior. He played 3 seasons at Clemson University, leading the ACC in blocked shots in 1992 through 1994. He was selected in the NBA draft of 1994 by the Philadelphia 76ers. Wright played 4 years in the NBA with the 76ers and Toronto. While still a member of the Toronto team, Wright's career was cut short by a car accident in which he suffered multiple injuries. In 203 career games in the pros, he averaged 9.7 points, 5 rebounds, and 1.6 blocks per game. He also played in Spain, Poland, South Korea, and the Netherlands. Sharon returns to Macon each summer to conduct a basketball camp for local youth. Brenda Clyde Thomas. As a two-sport wonder in basketball and track and field, Brenda Clyde Thomas is perhaps the top female athlete from Northeast High School. She led the Lady Raiders to a pair of state championships in both basketball and track and field. She earned a scholarship to Florida State University. In her freshman basketball year, she averaged 13.5 points and 9 rebounds per game, leading FSU to 24 wins in their first ever NCAA Women's Tournament appearance. In 1984, she helped lead Florida State University to an outdoor national track title. Brenda won gold medals at the World University Games, the Goodwill Games, and the U.S. Olympic Festival, where she was selected to the U.S. Olympic team as an alternate in the 200 meters. She is a member of the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame and the Florida State Athletic Hall of Fame. Roy Robinson Sr. Roy Robinson Sr. began his coaching and teaching career at Peter G. Applin High School as a student teacher. After those requirements were met, he was hired as the first and only head boys basketball coach for the school. Peter G. Applin High School only existed for 11 years. In 1968, Applin won their first and only boys state championship. From that team, 5 players received college scholarships. John Lee Glover, Edward Kitchens, and Milton Sinclair went to Wiley State College in Texas. James Albritton attended Clark, Atlanta, and Marvin Bailey attended Mercer University. In 1969 and 70, Applin merged with Mark Smith and Lassiter High Schools, and Coach Robinson was moved to Lanier High School to teach and coach. While working on his master's at Georgia College in Milledgeville, Coach Robinson was offered a coaching position which he held until 1977. Mike Garvin. Mike Garvin's coaching career spanned 5 decades, coaching high school and various recreational sports programs throughout Middle Georgia. Garvin's baseball teams won Pony League state championships in 1957, 58, and 1961. He coached at Willingham High School before a long career at Mount DeSales Academy. With the Cavaliers, he won 3 state championships in football, 1 in track, and numerous region championships. He also coached football, basketball, track, wrestling, and golf. His 1973 football team was voted one of the top 10 best Middle Georgia football teams. In 1999, Mount DeSales Academy honored Mike by naming their football stadium Mike Garvin Stadium. His high school coaching record is 172 wins, 71 losses, and 5 ties. He is a member of the Mount DeSales Sports Hall of Fame. Alvin Copeland. Alvin Copeland won 881 girls' basketball games while coaching at Northeast High School. This included 5 state championships. Copeland also captured 6 girls' state championships in track and field and 2 state titles in boys' track and field. Copeland was named National High School Coach of the Year by the Black Athletic Coaches Association in 2004. As an athletic administrator, Alvin was named Athletic Director of the Year for his region and State Athletic Director of the Year in 2007. He was inducted into Fort Valley State University Hall of Fame in 1981, the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Hall of Fame in 1997, and the Macon Hall of Fame. The gymnasium at Northeast High School is named in his honor. Shayna Askew Daniels. Shayna Askew Daniels was an outstanding player for Coach Willie Goosby's Southwest Lady Patriots in the mid-1990s. She scored 1,887 points and grabbed 609 rebounds in her career there. She made All-State, All-Middle Georgia, and All-City teams. Shanna played at Auburn University for 4 seasons, appearing in 95 games with 68 starts. She started all 30 games during her junior year. She scored 981 points and pulled down 373 rebounds for a career average of 10.3 points and 3.9 rebounds. She was a preseason All-SEC selection prior to her senior season. She is married to former Auburn and NBA player Marquise Daniels, and Shanna has spent time as a high school coach. Jerome Hutchins. Jerome Hutchins was an outstanding track athlete at Northeast High School in the early 1970s, winning the Triple A state championship in the triple jump in both 1973 and 74. He signed a track and field scholarship to the University of Georgia before transferring to the University of Texas, El Paso. He is in the record books at both colleges. At Georgia, he had a triple jump of 52 feet 7 inches at the 1975 Florida Relays, which is the 8th best in school history. At UTEP, he won the Western Athlete Conference triple jump indoor competition with a leap of 51 feet, 10 inches and a half. He started the Macon Striders Track Club in the early 1980s. Johnny L. Early Sr. Johnny L. Early Sr. was the first black coach hired by the Bibb County Board of Education in 1944. He coached at Ballard Hudson High School, where he also started the first black marching band in Bibb County. In 1949, he coached Hudson High School to the GIA State Basketball Championship. It was one of four straight state titles for the Tigers, as they won it in 1948, 49, 50, and 51. In 1950, he was named director of the Grays Hill Swimming Pool, which was located across from Porter Stadium. He received the Jesse Outler Service to Sports Award from the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame in 1979. Gerald Fitch. Gerald Fitch was Quad A Mr. Basketball in Georgia in 2000, after averaging 26.5 points a game for Westside High School. Gerald received a scholarship to play for Tubby Smith at the University of Kentucky. In his first season, he was named to the All-SEC freshman team after averaging 6.8 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. As a senior, Gerald was All-SEC first team, averaging 16 points and 4.1 rebounds. Over his 4 seasons at Kentucky, the Cats compiled a 105-29 record, which included 3 regular seasons and 3 SEC tournament championships. In one of those tournaments, Gerald was named tournament MVP, averaging 19 points a game. Gerald's shot was lethal from long distance. He made 8 three-pointers in wins over Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. Gerald played professionally for 13 seasons, mainly overseas, and was with the world champion Miami Heat during the 2005-2006 season. He received his degree from Kentucky in 2017. Janet Allman Batcher, a Macon native. Janet led Baldwin County High School in Milledgeville to 3 consecutive girl basketball state titles in 1986, 1987, and 1988. The Bravettes came close to making it 6 championships with runner-up positions in 1979, 81, and 85. During a 6-season run from 1983 to 1988, Baldwin was in the state Final Four every season and compiled a 152-21 record during that span. Janet won the prestigious Atlanta Tip-Off Club Coach of the Year honors in both 1986 and 88. Janet retired following the 1990 season. Her husband, Jeff, was inducted into the Macon Sports Hall of Fame in 2019, making them the only husband and wife duo to hold that honor. Southwest High School National Champs, 1979. In 2019, the Georgia High School Association recognized the 40th anniversary of Southwest Macon 1979 season, where they achieved #1 national ranking for their all-star basketball team. This recognition was given at halftime of the boys' 7A finals. Coach Donald Richardson created college-ready players due to his training methods and high expectations of players on the court and in the classrooms. Although it was a team effort, the championship team was built around 3 returning seniors, Terry Fair, Michael Hunt, and Jeff Malone. This group also led the Patriots to a 26-2 overall record the previous year, 1978. Terry Fair was a McDonald's All-American and went on to reach the Final Four at UGA in 1983 and was drafted by the Indiana Pacers. Michael Hunt was student body president in 1979 and attended Furman University on scholarship. Jeff Malone attended Mississippi State and played for 13 seasons in the NBA. Edwana Austin Hazel, D. Hazel. Edwana Austin Hazel began her basketball career as a 6'3" student at Peter G. Applin High School, which merged into present-day Northeast High School. Appleton High School only existed for 11 years. Within those 11 years, the girls' varsity basketball team, led by Edwana, won 3 state championships in 1961-62, 1962-63, 1963-64. 12 years later, after completing high school, going to business college in Jacksonville, Florida, getting married, having 3 children, and a business career, Edwana was asked by Coach Peggy Collins of Mercer University at a chance meeting in the airport to join the Mercer Teddy Bears as a player. Edwana accepted the scholarship offer and became a 29-year-old, 6 feet 7 inch freshman basketball player for Mercer University. During her 1 year playing college basketball, Edwana had some interesting stats. She averaged 17.1 points and 10 rebounds per game. Her highest scoring game was 39 points. One of her proudest moments was playing well against UGA, where Mercer won, and she scored 22 points with 10 rebounds. Mark Smith State Champions. Mark Smith High School won the 1969 State AAA Basketball Championship by defeating Carver High School of Columbus, Georgia, in overtime. This team was led by second-year head coach Don Butch Clifton and team captain Scott Judd. The most outstanding player for the tournament was Charlie Anderson, who had 32 points in the game and was named MVP of the tournament. This helped him to earn a scholarship to the University of Georgia, where he was captain of the Bulldogs in his senior year. He played professionally for 1 year in France. In the 1968 basketball season, Mark Smith's record was 14-14. And in 1969, their championship year, their record was 27-4. Marquette King. Marquette King attended Rutland High School and received a scholarship to Fort Valley State University. He signed with the Oakland Raiders of the NFL as an undrafted free agent in 2012. He is considered to be one of the most talented punters in the NFL. He is also only the 5th African American to be exclusively a punter. He played in 64 straight games, punted 357 times for 16,671 yards, with an average punt of 47 yards. These were record-setting averages for the Raiders. Tony Gilbert. Tony Gilbert was an outstanding linebacker at Central High School under head coach Tom Simonton. He earned a scholarship to the University of Georgia and was a 3-year starter for the Bulldogs. During his senior season, he was named All-SEC. He was the captain of the Georgia 2002 SEC championship team that finished with a 13-1 record. For his career, he had 328 tackles. He was also an outstanding student and was chosen for the SEC Academic Honor Roll. Following his college career, he spent 8 seasons in professional football, 6 with Jacksonville Jaguars and 2 with the Atlanta Falcons. Following his playing days, he began a coaching career with stops at John Milledge Academy, Georgia Military College, East Mississippi State, UGA, Auburn, and North Carolina. George Foster. Southeast High School in Macon was in operations for a little more than a decade, but the school produced a major college athlete and football player, George Foster. An offensive lineman, Foster would start 2 seasons at the University of Georgia. He helped the Bulldogs to 13 wins, the 2002 SEC Championship, a 26-3 Sugar Bowl win over Florida State, and a final number 3 ranking in both major polls. George averaged 32 points per game that season. He was invited to play in the 2003 Senior Bowl football game and was the first-round draft choice of the Denver Broncos. Foster spent 3 seasons in Denver, starting all 16 games in 2004. He started all 16 games again in 2005. In 9 NFL seasons, Foster played 67 games with 57 starts. His career included playing with the Lions, Browns, Saints, and Colts. After his playing days, he spent time as a scout with the Rams organization. Tawanya Merker Wilson. Tawanya was an outstanding basketball player for Northeast High School under the leadership of Coach Alvin Copeland. She was highly recruited by Middle Tennessee State University, where she played and set records for 4 years. She led her team in rebounds and blocks for 3 years, and in scoring for 2 years. She set a school record for the most consecutive games scored in which she scored double figures. That was 60 games. She had a total of 92 double-figure games and ranked number 1 in made free throws. She was the 3rd woman inducted into Middle Tennessee State University Hall of Fame, with her record still standing in 2012. Mark Farrable. Mark was a standout athlete, playing football, basketball, and baseball for Stratford in the early 1970s, before signing a football scholarship to the University of Georgia. Mark was a member of the 1976 SEC championship team. Following his college career, he entered the coaching profession, and his stops have included First Presbyterian Day School, Prince Avenue Christian in Athens, and Stratford Academy. Mark led the Vikings to the GISA Class AAA State Championship in 1985. In 2004, he turned the tables, leading Stratford to the state GISA AAA title with a 35-34 win over his former school, FPD. He led Stratford's transition from GISA in 2014 to the Georgia High School Association, and guided the Eagles to the state Class A private school semifinals in 2015. Mark was in the first class inducted into the Stratford Hall of Fame.
Michael A. Lau. Macon has been home to many quality amateur golfers a few of whom have made PGA Tour appearances, but Russell Henley tops the list. The son of Sally and Chapin Henley grew up as a Stratford Eagle, where people saw him race up and down the basketball court as a starting point guard who played with energy and abandon, opposite of his calm and measured demeanor on the golf course. He went on to help the University of Georgia to national championships in 2009 and 2010, earning All-America honors in 2008, 9, and 10. He won the Brickyard Collegiate Tournament in Macon in 2010 and 11, as well as an SEC title. In 2010, he won the Haskins Award, given to the most outstanding collegiate golfer. And as an amateur, he competed in the U.S. Open and shared the low amateur score. Henley represented the United States in the Walker Cup and Palmer Cup competitions. He has been on the PGA Tour since 2013, had a high finish of 11th in the Masters, taking 12th in a PGA Championship and 13th in a U.S. Open. And he recorded a fourth win of his career in November's Worldwide Technology Championship in Mexico. He and wife Teal are the parents of 3 children. Gloria Payne. In addition to the Macon Sports Hall of Fame, Gloria Payne is a member of the Georgia Tennis Hall of Fame, being inducted in 2011. Payne graduated from Florida State University in 1958 and soon began a career of teaching college physical education and coaching tennis, with stops at Mercer, Georgia College, and Macon Junior College. At age 29, Gloria won the first of 4 Georgia State Opens during an era when women's tournaments attracted large crowds. From there, she began to dominate Georgia women's tennis. During her playing career, she was part of 4 national championships in doubles, 15 Southern championships in singles and doubles, and 33 Georgia singles titles. In 1972, she teamed with Charlene Grafton of Pensacola, Florida, to be the United States Tennis Association's top-ranked national doubles team. She was the Southern Professional Tennis Player of the Year in 1978. Gloria retired from teaching in the university system in 1994 and passed away in 2015 at the age of 79. D.T. Bell. Talmadge D.T. Bell was a Golden Gloves middleweight boxing champion in 1938 and 39, captured the light heavyweight boxing championship of the South in 1941. Many refer to the fighter as the second W.L. Young Stribling, a legendary boxer who is also in the Macon and Georgia Sports Halls of Fame. Bell won 86 of 90 career bouts, half of which were fought as a professional. But unfortunately, Bell's boxing career was tragically cut short, and he never got a chance to add to his record. He died at the age of 23 while piloting a P-46 Thunderbolt for the U.S. Army Air Corps in World War II. He is a member of the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame. Vernon Catfish Smith. He became Catfish Smith as a student at Lanier when he won a 25-cent bet by biting the head off of a catfish. But Vernon Smith was more known as an all-state football, basketball, and baseball player at Lanier High School in the late 1920s, following that with a 3-sport career at the University of Georgia. In 1929, he scored all 15 points for Georgia in an upset of Yale. He fell on a blocked punt in the end zone for a touchdown, caught a touchdown pass, kicked an extra point, and tackled a Yale player in the end zone for a safety, all in the first ever game played at Sanford Stadium. Smith earned All-America honors in 1931, and after completing his Georgia career, Smith went into coaching football at Georgia, the University of South Carolina, and then the University of Mississippi. He was also the head baseball coach at Georgia and South Carolina. Smith then joined the United States Army Air Forces, retiring in 1963 with the rank of colonel. He is a member of both the College and Georgia Sports Halls of Fame. Gardner Dickinson. Gardner Dickinson led Lanier High to state golf titles in 1944, 45, and 47. He was a student of Ben Hogan and crafted his swing in the Hogan tradition and style. He played college golf at Louisiana State University, where he and teammate Jay Hebert led the Tigers to a national title in 1947. In a long PGA Tour career, the native of Dothan, Alabama, won 7 times between 1956 and 1971. In his last win, the 1971 Atlanta Classic, he beat Jack Nicklaus in a sudden death playoff. During his PGA Tour career, Dickinson competed in 12 Masters tournaments, and while he didn't win a major, he had 5 top 10 finishes, topped by a 5th place in the 1965 PGA Championship. 95 times he finished in the top 10. He played on the 1967 and 1971 Ryder Cup teams and compiled an impressive 9-1 match record the best winning percentage with a minimum of 7 matches in Cup history. In Team Ryder Cup play, he never lost a match, partnering with teammate Arnold Palmer to go 5-0. Dickinson was one of the founders of the Senior PGA Tour, now known as the Champions Tour, and is a member of the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame. Thomas Green. Tom Green was considered one of the greatest linemen to ever play at Lanier High. He went on to the University of Georgia, where he lettered in 1939, 1940, and 1941. He played all 3 of his varsity seasons for Macon and Georgia Sports Hall of Famer Wally Butts, who was in his first 3 seasons at Georgia. The 1941 team finished 9-1-1, starting the year with an 81-0 win over Mercer and taking down rivals Auburn 7-0, Florida 19-3, and Georgia Tech 21-0 before beating TCU 40-26 in the Orange Bowl. Green was also on the varsity track team, earning all SEC and honorable mention All-America honors. He is a member of the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame and served as president of that organization between 1971 and 1973. Tom Fontaine. Tom Fontaine was a civic leader who was a charter member and president of the Macon Kiwanis Club. He was instrumental in bringing Little League Baseball to Macon in 1952. He received a Meritorious Service Award for counseling, assisting, and guiding the Macon Little League throughout District 5 in 1960. The Macon Little League field on Anthony Road across from Henderson Stadium is named in his honor. In fact, the park was renovated in 2018 thanks to grants from Scott's Field Refurbishment Program and the Atlanta Braves Foundation. Former Brave David Ross, a Scott's ambassador, played a key role in selecting the field for a renovation. Out of 350 applications from 315 cities, Scott's chose Macon as one of its 4 destinations for a field refurbishing and dedication. The Cal Ripken Jr. Foundation, as well as Major League Baseball, have been involved in boosting and improving what Fontaine got going in 1952. Selby Buck. Selby Buck is arguably the most successful high school coach that Macon has ever produced. Buck had an accomplished athletic career of his own as a member of the 1920 U.S. Olympic water polo team and partnered to win a U.S. Army doubles tennis crown in Germany in 1921. Buck spent 30 years at Lanier High School from 1925 to 1955. His football teams compiled a remarkable 167, 71, and 13 record with 5 state titles in 1931, 32, 36, 47, and 48. Buck coached many standout players at Lanier, but noted that one Vernon Catfish Smith, who later started at Georgia, was his best player. In addition to coaching football, Buck led the Poets basketball teams to 11 state titles in the 1930s and 40s, amassing a 491 and 140 career record on the hardwood. And if that wasn't enough, Buck coached the Lanier baseball team and won 2 more state titles. Buck was instrumental in the formation of the Georgia Athletic Coaches Association and is a member of the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame. Buck retired from coaching in 1956 and became Bibb County's athletics director, but he passed away 5 years later from leukemia. Elton Bubber Adams. Elton Bubber Adams played baseball at Lanier High School and at Mercer University, taking to the mound as an outstanding pitcher for legendary Mercer baseball coach Claude Smith during the mid-1960s. He then launched his coaching career at Stratford Academy in 1969 and spent 33 seasons winning, racking up an impressive 543 and 158 record with 9 Georgia Independent School Association championships and 4 second-place finishes. He was the GISA Coach of the Year 7 times. Adams was joined by fellow Hall of Famer Bobby Henley to comprise one of the best coaching staffs in Central Georgia high school baseball. 36 Stratford players earned college scholarships, and 6 were drafted by major league teams under Adams. A member of the Stratford Hall of Fame, the Eagles Baseball Complex is named in Coach Adams' honor. Central City Park Racetrack. Long before the massive shrines to stock car racing were built to hold more than 100,000 racing fans, there were places in towns all across America like the Central City Park Racetrack. Among the legendary drivers was Macon's own Charles Tidwell. He raced throughout the southeastern U.S. in the late 1940s and 50s, and his car was number 6, a tribute to his growing up at 6 Dessau Place in Macon. In 1949, he set a track record at Central City Park of 32.2 seconds. The racetrack was host to a big rivalry matchup between Tidwell and Barney Smith, a rival. They battled in a 5-lap winner-take-all race in 1949 before more than 5,000 fans. He died in 1990 from complications related to diabetes and is buried in Macon Memorial Park. At one point during World War I, a portion of the track was turned into a runway for military-related cross-country flights. The 1975 Central High State Championship football team. Macon had its periods of turning out highly successful public high school football teams in the first half of the last century, with renowned coaches like Goot Steiner, Billy Henderson, and Selby Buck, among others. In 1970, the landscape began to change a little bit with segregation, and the old high school names got new names. But Gene Brody put icing on the Macon football cake by leading Central to the 1975 state championship in Class AAA, the Georgia High School Association's largest classification at the time. The Chargers rolled through the regular season until the final game, falling 27-14 to Northside of Warner Robins. Central got the best revenge, beating the Eagles 21-19 12 days later in the first round of the state playoffs. Sixth-ranked Central then knocked off Wayne County in the semifinals and Douglas 21-14 in the championship. Mike Jolly led the Chargers on the field and remains a name that will bring a twinkle to the eye of anybody familiar with Bibb County's last public school state champion. The Nixons. Macon got its fill of the Nixon youngsters a while back. Kenneth was a 3-year basketball letterman at Lanier High, battling opponents as well as being part of the integration of that school in the late 1960s. He then became the first black basketball player at Mercer University. Ronald Nixon followed, and the young man known as Snake played basketball and football and graduated from Central, which was the result of merging Lanier and Miller high schools in 1970 and 1971. He then played football at Albany State. And then came Norm Nixon, who played basketball and football at Southwest, which was the result of combining Willingham, McAvoy, and Ballard Hudson high schools. He was an all-stater in both sports and led the Patriots boys basketball team to the 1973 state title. He was a track standout as well in the 440-yard dash and high jump. Recruited for football by big programs like Georgia, Auburn, and Florida, he picked basketball and went on to Duquesne University in Pittsburgh, averaging 17.2 points and 5.5 assists, en route to a career of 1,805 points and the retiring of his jersey. The nation got to know him as part of the Los Angeles Lakers, who chose him with the 22nd pick in the 1977 draft. He was with the Lakers from 1977 to 1983, and then with the San Diego and LA Clippers from 1983 to 89, earning All-Star honors twice and being part of 2 NBA championship teams. The 1961 to 64 Appling girls basketball team. Clara Hollins was the first and only head coach of the Peter Appling Wild Kittens, who went 37-3. Edwana Austin, Miriam Lewis, Eugenia Tuff, Mildred Anthony, Helen Simmons, and Iris Grant were their main players. Edwana Austin Hazel, known as D. Hazel, while playing for the Mercer Teddy Bears, was 6'7" and discovered by Mercer coach Peggy Collins at the Atlanta airport and offered a scholarship at the age of 29 in 1976. They were the GIA champions from 1962 to 64 and had only one player offered a scholarship. Laura Nelson Gill. Laura Nelson Gill won the Southeastern Association of Independent School state singles titles while at Mount DeSales in 1983, 84, and 85. She was ranked number 1 in the state in 1983 and 84, and number 1 in the Southern tennis rankings in 1983. Laura won the Southern 16s title in 1983 and the Liberty Bowl tournament in 1984. She went on to play collegiately at the University of Mississippi, where she received a full scholarship and was a 3-year letter winner from 1986 to 88. She was inducted into the Mount DeSales Athletic Hall of Fame in its inaugural class of 2007, 5 years after joining the Macon Sports Hall of Fame. Terry Brown. Terry Brown was a standout quarterback for the Southwest High School Patriots and then an all-conference performer at the University of Tennessee as a defensive back for Johnny Majors. The 1985 volunteer team had wins over number 1 Auburn and number 2 Miami en route to a Sugar Bowl win. A neck injury prevented Terry from pursuing his NFL playing career, so he started officiating high school football games. In 1998, he worked in the Southern Conference, and 2 years later, he joined the Southeastern Conference. After 6 years, he moved on to the NFL, where he has worked more than 200 league games. He has never been on the field for a Super Bowl, but was a side judge for the 2019 AFC Championship game between the New England Patriots and Kansas City Chiefs. He is a member of the Knoxville Hall of Fame as well as the Macon Sports Hall of Fame. Craig Gibson. Craig Gibson led River North Academy to a Georgia Independent School Association baseball state championship in 1981, making All-State in 1981 and 1982. He played collegiately at Mercer University, where he was the Atlantic Sun Conference Player of the Year in 1985 and is still in the top 10 in several categories on offense in the Bears baseball record book. His success as a player has carried over to the coaching ranks. Gibson has led his alma mater to unparalleled success over 19 seasons at the baseball program's helm, going .631 and .447. Since he took over the program in 2004, Gibson's teams have made 4 NCAA regional appearances in 2010, 2013, 2015, and 2019, winning 3 conference tournament championships in the Atlantic Sun and Southern Conference. The Bears have had nearly 30 players selected in the Major League Baseball draft during his tenure. Craig was the Georgia Dugout Coach of the Year in 2010 and A-Sun Coach of the Year in 2013, becoming the only person in A-Sun history to win both Player of the Year and Coach of the Year honors. Ann McBreartree Wright. Ann Wright, a 1962 Mount DeSales graduate, began running in 1970 and then took up biking and swimming as well, entering her first triathlon in 1980. She competed in triathlons over the next 33 years until she retired from competition in 2013. Ann has won or placed in her age group in more than 30 marathons. She was ranked in the top 3 in the nation by USA Triathlon and the International Triathlon Union for decades, starting with the 35 to 39 age group and continuing through the 65 to 69 age group. Ann has been recognized as a National Long Course Masters Champion, Southeast Region Masters Champion, Southeast Region Age Group Champion, and has been selected 13 times as an All-America triathlete. Ann has been a member of Team USA and won or placed overall in her age group in 130 multi-sport events. Theron Sapp. Fullback Theron Sapp will long be revered by Georgia football fans. His performance in the 1957 Georgia Tech game led to him earning the nickname of Drought Breaker. Sapp scored on a 1-yard touchdown run on 4th and goal for the game's only score and a 7-0 UGA win on a sub-freezing November day, snapping the Jackets' 8-game winning streak in the series. Sapp went to Athens after a stellar career at Lanier High, during which he led the Poets to the 1953 state championship game, Lanier falling 9-6 to Grady High and future coaching legend Irk Russell. Sapp was an All-SEC pick in 1957 and 58, and his jersey, number 40, is one of 4 to be retired by UGA along with Frank Sinkwich, Charlie Trippi, and Herschel Walker. The 1959 Senior Bowl and Blue-Gray game MVP was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles in the 10th round of the 1958 NFL Draft and played running back for them through the 1963 season, winning an NFL championship in 1960 before moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Lowe twins. One low is enough for Stratford opponents, so it was that much worse for them seeing double with Camille and Miriam Lowe, a pair of standouts for the Eagles. Camille holds the school single-game scoring record with 47 points and tops Stratford's list for career points and career scoring average. She was a 3-time Georgia Independent School Association All-State pick before signing with Georgia, earning SEC All-Freshman honors as well as a pair of All-Conference selections. Camille helped Georgia to a pair of SEC tournament championship games and finished her UGA career with 1,396 points in UGA's top 10 at that point. Miriam did damage in softball and basketball at Stratford. She batted better than 600 in 1988 and led the Eagles to a GISA state title. She's third at Stratford in career points and in the top 10 for average. She also went to Georgia and started as a freshman. Her 16 points helped Georgia upset top-ranked Tennessee one year and snap a 20-game losing streak to the Lady Vols. Both are in the Macon and Stratford Halls of Fame. Larry Tharp. Larry Tharp played on his high school football team at Southwest and earned a scholarship to Tennessee State University, where he was a standout offensive lineman. He was the 5th pick of the 6th round of the 1992 NFL Draft by the Detroit Lions. He played 11 games during his rookie season and after 2 years in Detroit, he signed with Arizona. He started all 16 games at offensive tackle in that season with the Cardinals, signing with New England in 1996. But he was inactive for the first 7 games and released, re-signing with Detroit. He started at right tackle and helped open holes for legendary running back Barry Sanders, who that season became the 3rd player in NFL history to rush for more than 2,000 yards in a season. Tharp closed his 8-year, 76-game playing career with the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2001 after playing in 15 games in 2 seasons.